Let's go. We're going to take the gray one for a ride this time. This is really neat. Watch this again. No mashing the starter button and holding it until it starts. Just press and release, kind of like the push to start button on a vehicle. Still mind-boggling how quiet this is. I like that the mirrors are a little bit lower. Wow, that thing will snap my neck. Standing position is not bad with these stock bars. Handlebars might be just a little bit on the low side by the time I get my riding boots on.
One of the things that's kind of mind-boggling to me is that the Honda CRF 450 RL still uses 7/8 bars with a crossbar, which is exactly what the current DR-Z400 has used, dating all the way back to the beginning.
This clutch assist start or whatever it's called is really neat. I'll try this again. No, it's not going to work with it being on a hill.
The loop wasn't very interesting because it's just riding city streets. Fastest I ever got up to is just a little over 40 miles an hour, so essentially I'm just riding stoplight to stoplight, so I didn't really get to get a good feel for how the suspension is compared to my current DR-Z.
Not the most enjoyable route for a test ride, but it is what it is considering this dealer is right in the middle of town. 513 miles on this one.
Here I'm pressing the up arrow and I'm scrolling through the odometer, trip meter, and also the fuel economy reading.
Mileage is about the same as far as fuel economy. This one's reading 56.8. Very minimal amount of vibration. It's pretty much minimal, I would say, very imperceptible. Probably no different than my antiquated DR-Z. I can just feel a little bit of vibration at idle, but it's very, very minute. So drive mode A is the most advanced. Drive mode B is a little bit less aggressive. Drive mode C is the more beginner style.
In my next video, I'll have a complete walkthrough of changing all the different ride modes and traction control settings that the Suzuki rep walked me through.
They all have the same peak power, it's just how they get to it is different.
To change the ride modes, we press the mode button once, that's the little black button on the left, and then we can scroll through with the up or down arrow to cycle through ride modes A, B, or C. And then if we press the mode button again, then we're into the mode where we change traction control, and then again press the up or down arrow.
I can definitely feel that Suzuki clutch, whatever it's called. It's not so jerky when you downshift. Not that it's jerky when you shift, but once you let out the clutch, it kind of eases into the power or whatever. Next up, let's press this button on the dash here when I'm riding and see what happens. Maybe this is just a quick access to turn off ABS altogether, rather than going through the menus. I still don't know if front and rear ABS are turned off in gravel mode or not. Here we go. No. It won't let me do anything when I'm moving. It's possible that maybe that button only turns off rear, because when I let go of the button I saw a little flashing symbol plus the word rear was flashing. A lot of this stuff we won't know all of the details about until the owner's manual is made available online, or somebody buys the bike and has a printed copy of the manual. Yeah, it definitely won't let me do anything when I'm moving. So let's come to a stop and see what happens. Okay, you do have to hold the button in for a few seconds before it turns anything off. Must be just the rear that's turned off. So once we get back to the dealership, I'm going to shut the bike off and turn it back on and then see what happens. See if that ABS is still off.
It's been 2 weeks since I did this test ride, and I still don't know whether that button turns off front and rear or just rear ABS. The other way to turn off ABS is to go into traction control mode and turn TC off, and that disables front and rear ABS, and that setting does stay when you turn the key off.
Yeah, ABS turned back off. Anyway, another excellent test ride. Oh, this one feels so much more top heavy because of the big fuel tank I have on it and whatnot.
If you're wondering what all that stuff is I have mounted on my bars, one is a RAM ball for a secondary GPS, and then just below the ignition switch key is a little clear window looking thing with two round aluminum knobs on it. That's a roll chart holder. I use that for doing dual sport events. And then to the far right I have under GPS mount, which is for my Zumo XT.
Yeah, this one accelerates pretty good, but it's really no comparison to the new one.
We can hear a lot of tire noise on my DR-Z400. I'm running an MT21 front and a Tusk D Sport on the rear. Those are knobby based DOT legal tires.
Yeah, I can definitely tell a difference between this and the other as far as the clutch. This is really grabby when you let out the clutch, where that slipper clutch assist, whatever it's called, kind of eases into engagement when you get the clutch let out and throttle on. Yeah, this old pig, I think it's time to sell it. When I first made the deposit on the DR-Z4S, I had planned on just keeping this bike, but I don't know if there's any really good reason to. Yeah, definitely not the throttle response that the 4S has. As soon as I turn this corner up here and get onto this little side street, we'll grab a handful of throttle. The 4S will just whip my neck back. I mean, this one pulls pretty good, but it won't like throw you back in the seat. Yeah, the 4S, huge difference as far as the throttle response and power, because like I said, this one, it will not throw me back in the seat. The DR-Z4S totally will. It was definitely worth the bad fuel economy that I get towing that big cargo trailer down here. A 6-hour road trip to do this comparison back to back. Yeah, my handlebars are just a little bit higher on this in relation to everything else. compared to the 4S. I do essentially have some risers on here with this Scott's steering stabilizer mounting system. This is a system from BRP. It's a new top triple clamp. It's a sub stabilizer under bar mount called the sub mount. So naturally that gets the bars up just a little bit higher to make room for the Scott's unit underneath the bars. Let's grab a handful of throttle as soon as I get past this little gray SUV. Well, time to put her away.
If you're new to my channel and haven't seen some of my other DR-Z4S videos, be sure to check those out. I'll throw links to those up on the screen. And then my next video on the DR-Z4S will be where the Suzuki rep walks me through changing all of the different ride modes and traction control settings.